Today, actually, the topic that I wanted to talk about is time. And the reason why is because during my work, because of coaching and talking to people and interacting, I find a lot of people having skewed ideas of what time is, how to manage their time, the concept of taking time for yourself. And a lot of the work I do also with clients is around time management, actually, which you might think, why is that a part of coaching? But it is an incredibly powerful thing because, as I always say, if you do not manage your time, someone else will manage your time for you. And this is why you are gonna feel frustrated, angry, disappointed, irritated, annoyed because you haven't been able to put boundaries or deciding how to use your time, and other people assumed, right, that, well, you're available, you can do that, or they expect you to. So this is why it's much more intricate than just, use your time as you want. You need to manage your time. It's kind of like a buzzword nowadays, but it really is like one of the fundamentals if you want to build sustainable habits for yourself, your personal growth, your goals, and just having a great life. If you cannot manage your time and be like feeling like you have time, you're abundant in time, you are, you're not just chasing for more time, then you're on the right way and the right path to do a lot of stuff. But if you feel in constant like running, out of time, or wanting not being patient with time, accepting or understanding where you're at and what kind of like the timeline is for whatever you're trying to achieve, that leads to a lot of frustration and anger and disappointment. And how do we perform and act when we have those feelings? Well, probably, you had those and you know how that feels. It doesn't feel very well. And if you don't feel very well, if your state is a low energy state, you're angry, frustrated, not focused, that doesn't bring the best of you, and that adds up to a lot of other stressors, and it makes you fall off. Then that's where some of, for example, procrastination can come up, or not being consistent can come up. This is why I'm bringing it up, because I know consistency is such a big consistency and motivation are two of the factors why people come to me and they're like, I need to figure out a sustainable way, that like a way to reach my goals and improve my life in all areas, because we're holistic here, that where I can feel I have myself with me, right? I can trust myself. I know the roadmap, I know what to do when, and at the same time, I can be resilient in my mindset, knowing what I'm doing, why am I doing it, and I'm taking actions, like actually some steps to get there. And I'm not just, talking about it. Okay? So first of all, let's just start from the fact that a lot of people that I talk to feel guilty, and I have like there is an onboarding form where I ask people this question: do you feel guilty, or do you have certain feelings around taking time for yourself? And I was surprised seeing how many people say yes to that question. At the same time, I can see through my clients and throughout the years how many people learned how to take time for themselves, being the actual extra power that they get to then go achieve their goals and feeling better and literally come out on the other side, if you want to say that. So taking time for ourselves, we feel, is something that we do like it's a selfish thing. A lot of people use this word. I feel selfish if I take time for myself, because that means that I take time away from other people, my family, my kids, my job, my volunteer work, whatever that is. The thing is, when you're on a plane and something happens, they say put the oxygen mask on first before you help others. And this is exactly the same thing. So maybe you understand that logically, and like, of course, I need to take care of myself, otherwise I cannot help others. But trust me that probably a lot of you, probably like 90% of you, understand that rationally, but subconsciously there is a belief that is like makes you still feel guilty about it. This is why we need to remove these mental blocks if we actually want to achieve stuff. But taking time for yourself is selfless. It's the most selfless thing you can do, because if you take, again, we're talking about 5-10 minutes a day. We can take an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours if you're that lucky and privileged, and we like see the point of doing that. Of course, I'm all for it. But most of us, myself included, we don't have 3 hours a day to take for ourselves, right? Because we have commitments and things that we want to take care of. But if we don't understand how to take 5-10 minutes, half an hour for ourselves every single day, we will not recharge our batteries and be our best self. That is going to make it very difficult for us to then actually go give our 100% to other people if we're not our 100% ourselves. And what happens is, over time, you keep giving your 100% of your 80% or your 100% of your 20%. At some point, you will burn out. That's why a lot of people that I work with, that is LGBT people or queer people, people in this community, there's a lot of people that are amazing and are givers, and they really are doing a lot of volunteer work to support our community, to support those in need, and that it's amazing, right? But at the same time, they're not taking care of themselves at their best. And the second they realize, oh, I need to put myself first, that is already like screaming in your ears probably, and you're like, oh my God, I cannot even say that sentence, put myself first before other people. It might feel weird, like you might feel like it's a bit cringy to even say it. And if it feels that way, oh boy, there's a lot of work to do, because if we do not understand how vital that is, that if we're not our take 100%, we cannot give 100%. And if we feel selfish, right, taking that time for ourselves to feel good, how can we even, give others what they actually need? We're not going to be our best self, right? So this was my first point that I hope everybody takes extremely seriously. And this is also because we come from probably a lived experience where we think in survival mode on a lot of levels, fortunately or unfortunately. And because we grew up with that, having to go through a lot of maybe trauma or difficult situations, or a society that doesn't really support us as it does with other people, we really have this kind of survival mode, and everything is, we just get the need to, not the nice tos. And we see our health, our wealth, our happiness, and all this extra stuff, like the things that really makes life great, that makes life like worth living at this level and not this level. We see it as a nice to. We see that it's very difficult for us to see that it's our right to be wealthy. It is our right to be healthy. It is our right to be our 100%. It is our right to thrive, to build, like a legacy, to help other people at a level that we never felt we could, because we couldn't even help ourselves back in our teenage room. Maybe some of you are still there, right? But it is our right. And right, what the heck? It's like it feels just weird just saying these things, because it should be how it is. But I just see a lot of people, and a lot of people resonate with that. And let me know if you do too. Feeling that spending time on ourselves, spending money on ourselves, spending money on or time or energy and focus on our personal development, on doing things that make us grow and like have this kind of impact in our life, is extremely difficult for us, more than with other people. That's why I always tell my clients, you are here and you're the 1% of people out there, because it's so freaking tough to make that decision. And if you're here, you're already on the path to success and feeling 100%. So taking time for yourself is selfless, and it's a must. It's not a need. It's not a nice to. It's a need to. It's a need to. Okay, your health, your mental and physical health, come first. If I don't take care of myself, I'm not gonna be able to take care of my kids, my wife, my family at the same level. They will get just a shitty version of myself that is irritated, that lashes out, that is annoyed, that kind of like it's not a nice, it's not a nice place to be for me. Okay, and I think a lot of you are gonna resonate with that. Another point that I wanted to make is how to kind of like manage time. Once we got to the point where we understand it's important for us to actually, take time for ourselves, how do we actually put that into practice? It's not enough to just say, okay, I'll be better. Okay, because I know a lot of people in these trainings, you're gonna take it all in, you're gonna listen to the video. 2% of you are gonna actually do the things that are required to get to the next level. But again, it's all good, and I just hope everybody would do it, but I know it's not the case. At the same time, I want to give that information because I don't want anyone to miss out, and I want to give everybody the opportunity to take me on these things. So I hope this is helpful and makes you think at least, right? So how do we take that time for ourselves? And then we go into time management. So time management for me, I used to be literally like the post-it guy. I had lists over lists and notebooks over notebooks. There's still a lot around my office here. But what helped me a lot is treating me time as an appointment with my doctor, as my T-shot day, as my, whatever. It's like a commitment that is scheduled. And if I don't go, I lose out big time or I need to pay. Okay. Treating these appointments with this, it's like a date with yourself. If you go train, that's a date with yourself. And you prioritize it by putting out there an intention and say, okay, this week I'm gonna go do one workout. You start small. It's always the same thing. I'm beating on the dead horse. It's still micro steps that we need to do, okay, to be consistent and actually learn the habit and not feel overwhelmed. Once we had the intention, I'm gonna work out once this week. It needs to be repeated next week, but this week I'm gonna go once. It's better than zero. Okay, that's the mindset we kind of need to adopt. We'll have future trainings on that, so stay tuned for that. But once you have that, then I want you to go in your calendar, whether it's a physical, like a journal, whatever, like a bullet journal, or a notepad that you have, or is your phone calendar, which I would recommend. You want to go in there and find the time and block the time in the calendar. Because once you put that thing in your calendar on your phone, what happens is that phone is gonna pop a notification up when the time comes, and it's gonna remind you to do it. So you don't stress over when was I supposed to do that? Or is now the time? Do I have time now? No, I'm gonna postpone it, right? You want to go when the calendar says it. It's an appointment. It's a decision. It's a commitment. Just like going to the doctor, just like going on a date. And when you do that, you want to be able to see that notification. And if you cannot do it there, like right there and then, because of whatever, something pop up, life happens. It happens all the time for me with 2 kids, clients and all that. So I know when that pops up, you just drag it around in your calendar and say, I'm going to go in 2 hours, or I'm going to just, like in a second, you can just change it up and say, I'm going to go tomorrow, same time. So immediately you give it priority again. You set it in your calendar to another day and you reschedule it, or later, and you reschedule it. Okay? Because it's still a commitment you have. Just this wasn't the time. You couldn't make it. Okay? So that changed my life. Instead of going with to-do lists that are never ending, because you start a to-do list, the second, if you're lucky, you finish off, then you start adding more stuff. But when are those due? When are you gonna, that is not a commitment, that is a list. So once you understand calendarizing, that's what we can call it, as a trick to make yourself actually commit more and also see how your week looks like. Do I have too many things, right? You want to have 1 or 2 things a day max, okay? Especially if you're at the beginning, especially if you're a person that feels overwhelmed by things in life and feel you don't have time. You want to make so small changes that you feel it's like, not you feel, that it's impossible for you to fail. So the beginning is like 1 appointment, 1 little thing, 5 minutes stretching, 5 minutes journaling, something super easy that you can keep consistent, but that you put it in the calendar. I have everything in my calendar, even like the most absurd things, like whatever laundry I need to do, or if I need to go down with the trash, or like the minimum things that I want to remember. I don't, it's a commitment. I want to get it done. I want to give it a time in my calendar, and I don't want to stress about, oh, what if I don't remember it? I just want to put it there so the phone does it for me. I don't need to remember. It's going to pop up. Then I go just do it. Or I drag it around and reschedule it. Okay. If you do not manage your time, someone else will. If my calendar is completely empty, my wife, my friends, my mom, whatever, they can say, well, you have time, you're free. They're gonna put things there, especially if you work with other people and you don't have anything in the calendar that is, you're blocking your own time. Then you're like, oh, I hate these Monday meetings. They always put these meetings on Monday and I hate it. Well, why don't you first of all say something, or like schedule something on Monday if you can, of course. I know that's not an option for many people, but if you can, is like Monday morning, the first 2 hours I'm not available, because that's the time that I set my week up, that I check my emails, that I make a plan, and I check in with work with myself, and then I'm only available at like from 10 a.m. until 12 p.m. 12 p.m. Yeah. 2 hours max, or like sometime, right? So that was my tip for today. I hope it was helpful. It's a big topic, and I just wanted to give you something tangible on top of just give you some food for thought and see how you can apply in your own life, how it's going for you. But calendarizing really saved my life and makes me so much more productive and takes a lot of stress off me. This might not be for everybody, of course. I'm not saying like here we're all about you find your own personal success formula. I just know for 90% of my clients this works best, and it has been a game changer. For some people, if you're prone to kind of like obsess about like routines, and you are very strict with yourself, then calendarizing might turn, it's just like tracking calories and tracking progress. It might turn into an obsession. So it might be too rigid. That's why we work on mindset here. So yes, we want to calendarize. We want to give an intention, a priority, but we want it also to have a flow and a sense of it's an intention. It's not a rule. It's an intention. It's something we feel aligned to prioritize, but we also want to be gentle with ourselves and most of all flexible, right? So we can reschedule it. The intention is still there, but we can reschedule it. Okay, we can change our mind and decide that something else is actually more important in this season. So I'm not gonna work out this week because work has my priority this week. It's all good, but the intention is still there. I'm gonna do something about it. So that's why it's a very fine art of balancing, like scheduling and putting things there, and intentionality, and then giving yourself self-love, and even just this flexibility. That's an extremely important part. That's why if you jump in the coaching program with me, and this is a part that we need to work on for you, that would be so tailored to you. Like we don't use like just like one size fits all kind of thing. So this is how I manage my time. This is how I find relief in just calendarizing, and then giving myself grace, knowing what's important. And again, just remember that I've been doing work on myself and my personal growth and my mindset, and my thoughts and my emotions for the past many years. So I'm at the stage where that comes probably easier for me, but it's still a challenge. It's still something we all like. It's an infinite game we're playing. It's not just like now I've done it and it's all good. We're playing with clay, and we still need to keep modeling it and adding water and making it more and more beautiful.